Welcome to Firearms of America. Today I'm here again in Shooters in Fort Myers, Florida, and I have another Glock for review, and this is yet again a Glock 35 Generation 4 this time. And let me double check that this is a generation, definitely the Generation 4. And I do have the Generation 3 with me here as well that I have shot last time. Right now I'm going to do a review specifically of the Generation 4, and right after this I'm going to do a comparison video of the Generation 4 versus the Generation 3, the differences, how both handle, if you are considering, whichever you're considering, so that you know the differences so you can make a right decision. So, another Glock, another G35. Let's do some shooting and find out what it can do. Now, magazines. Both are interchangeable. Really no difference between the two whenever it comes to the magazines. It is still the same standard capacity magazine, which this one is 15 plus 1, but you can also get, as an upgrade, you can get 16 capacity magazine and the extended 22 capacity magazine for both of the generations, just in case. But yes, you can definitely do that for the Generation 4. Obviously, magazine still feels very, very nice, very easy to load. And the same thing, I was impressed with the Generation 3 pistol whenever I was shooting it last week, I think. That was my first Glock. Yes. And honestly, I was impressed overall with the performance of a Glock, with the ease of operation. Very basic design, as you can see. There isn't really much going on, but basic in a good way. However, Generation 4 seems to have an improved guide rod. So we'll find out how improved it is and if it is improved in a good way. Let's do some shooting. And for this review, I have saved the bottom yellow right there. Yeah, we'll try to hit that. And I have currently 10, as you can see on this magazine right here. It is numbered, and you can actually see how many rounds you have in there. And I can see clearly that there are 10 rounds. Great, I absolutely love that feature. All right, now I can already kind of feel the difference a little bit in the generations. All right, let's see what we can do with the shooting. All right, so Glock 35 Generation 4 shoots beautifully. A few things that I wanted to point out that are kind of specific, Glock unique in a way, at least so far in my experience, my personal gun experience. The sights, first of all, as you can see, they do have the rear post sights. They do have this white line going, and whenever you are lining up the sights, you kind of have that psychological thing going, that should it line up, should the front white dot line up with the rear white line, or is it supposed to be the post height that lines up? Well, as you can see, for me what works best is lining up the post height, and that means that your white dot on the front kind of sits a little bit below this black line right here, which is underneath. Kind of a little bit weird, something that you need to get adjusted to. However, let me point out something important here. If you don't want to adjust to these sides, you can definitely get a Glock for yourself, the same 35 generation 4 with a different post size. They do have some options. So just like with the magazines, if you want to get a 16 or a 22, you can get different sides, which I think is definitely a great feature. Okay, so let's talk about the grip. As you can see, of course, we have our polymer frame, Glock, as I have mentioned in my previous G35 review, Generation 3. Glockstore, all the way from Austria, it was one of the main contributions to the gun industry, introducing that polymer frame. They weren't the first ones who did the polymer frame pistols, but they were the ones who made them popular, and it was definitely a great contribution, because polymer frame pistols, obviously you're saving up on some cost. First of all, let's mention that, and of course on some weight as well. And honestly, for a lot of people, you know, with lighter guns, you do have more recoil, obviously, because there isn't that mass to absorb the energy from the recoil. However, I do like the overall weight redistribution better whenever it comes to a steel slide and a polymer frame. I just like it personally myself. Okay, so grip, as you can see, nicely checkered. There are these nice grooves, which from my experience talking to different people, I personally absolutely love these grooves, but there are some people who don't, because they don't seem to get a little good of a fitment for their fingers. My hands are pretty small, so they fit absolutely perfectly. I love it. Okay, so let's talk about the magazine release. As you can see, we have a button here, not ambidextrous. However, it works perfectly. One thing that I wanted to point out is, if you probably already noticed, there is a cutout here on this side of the frame for the mag release. And yes, you are correct. You can definitely have that on the other side. That's another one of the options. Honestly, personally, I think that's one of the best things about the Glock, is that they are so customizable. Besides having a lot of different accessories that you can find for the Glock, they are themselves from the factory customizable in so many different ways. And I think that's definitely a great thing. Now, no thumb safety. Nothing going there. You probably already noticed one of the things that makes this gun as basic, handgun as basic as it can be, which I think in a way is a good thing. But you do have that extra safety feature here on the trigger, which, as you can see, it kind of gives you the feel. Before you actually put your finger on the trigger, you kind of have that pre-trigger that kind of tells you, okay, you're touching something, right? But the trigger itself is very good. And as you can see, it has probably about 1.5 millimeter of a very familiar safe travel. And then there is a little bit more of a little bit of unsure travel, probably again 2 millimeters maybe. And then after that we have a pretty crisp snap, and I think it is a good trigger. Definitely feels very nice and very crisp. I'm gonna do a few more rounds just to kind of get a little bit of a better idea of the trigger, and to finish that yellow, because there's some space on it still. Gotta do another 5 rounds, and we'll see how that gonna comes out. Of course, you do have your external extractor, which you have probably already noticed. There's a nice cutout here on front, which I honestly do like. I think it's besides obviously saving on some weight, because you're saving that much of the steel, right? You also have that cool looking design feature. I just love it. And of course, you do have your rail. You probably already noticed that, so you can mount a flashlight, which a lot of you guys do, or a laser, if that's the kind of thing you're into. But let's do some more shooting, and I'm gonna mention a few more things about the gun, and then we'll move on to the next video, the comparison. All right, so I'm gonna try to finish that yellow right, that was a... Yeah, there you go. All right. For some reason, it's just a little bit there, but one of the reasons for that is because I'm a terrible shooter. But one of my excuses, good excuses, is because I'm not adjusted to these sights. That's my excuse. But still really pretty good, you know, overall. So overall, a great gun. I think I particularly like the grip on this gun and the weight or distribution. Now, the slide lock or the slide stop is not ambidextrous. Keep that in mind. And one thing that I wanted to point out, which is one of the main things that makes the Generation 4 Glock stand out compared to the previous generation, Generation 3, is, you probably noticed this cap right here. This is specifically for the MOS system, which is Modular Optics System. So yeah, it's MOS, not MOS system. MOS, because S is for system. So, thank you very much guys for watching. This was Glock 35 Generation 4. If you do have any suggestions or any requests for reviews, drop them in the comments below. If this was in any way useful, make sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.